All right, so moving on to the final segment, I'll be sharing my top 5 UFC title reigns in UFC history. So these are my personal top 5 title reigns in the UFC. I'll be ranking them from number 5 all the way down to number 1. So number 5, I have Kamaru Usman's 1,267 title day reign as the welterweight champion in the UFC. So this run from Kamaru Usman to me is an incredible welterweight run at one of, if not the greatest welterweight championship reign in UFC history. He had an incredible title run. Had a total of 5 successful title defenses, defeated Colby Covington twice and George Masvidal twice, in his quest to being one of the greatest welterweight champs in UFC history. His title reign, to me, is significant. It's number 5 on my list. At number 4, I have Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo, with his impressive UFC title reign of 1,848 days as the flyweight champion. As the featherweight champion. To me, Jose Aldo's featherweight championship reign was the greatest featherweight championship reign in UFC history. He had a total of 7 successful title defenses, and the title reign lasted for over 5 years. He had some classic fights against Chaz Mendes and Frankie Edgar during his title reign, holding that title for a total of 5 years. Jose Aldo's featherweight championship title reign is number 4 on my list. And number 3, I have Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes' great title reign of 1,981 days as the women's bantamweight champion in the UFC. Had a total of 5 different title defenses. I think this is one of the reasons why she's going to go down as the greatest women's fighter in UFC history from this bantamweight championship reign. She defeated the likes of Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm, and several others to show that she is the best women's bantamweight champion in UFC history. That title reign is number 3 on my list. And number 2, I have Demetrius Johnson. Demetrius Johnson's 2,142-day title reign as the flyweight champion in the UFC. He held that title for so long and had a total of 11 different title defenses, holding that title for a total of 6 years. That is huge, and that is so long in the UFC. I think Demetrius Johnson, when I was growing up getting into the combat sports, and especially in the UFC, when I remember watching him, definitely a bad man, and definitely one of the greatest title reigns in UFC history. I have Demetrius Johnson's flyweight championship title reign at number 2 on my list. And at number 1, I do believe that Anderson Silva's title reign as the middleweight champion is the greatest title reign in UFC history. Anderson Silva went on to hold that title for a total of 2,457 days as the middleweight champion. He brought importance and prestige and honor to the middleweight division in the UFC today, and that legacy has been carried on for several others have held the title. Erzero Adesanya, especially for what he's done for that middleweight division in recent memory. But Anderson Silva held that title for a total of 7 years, had a total of 10 successful title defenses, and went on to win 2008 Fighter of the Year, being a great middleweight champion. He had big victories against Travis Lutter, Rich Franklin, and Dan Henderson. Anderson Silva, to me, is one of the greatest fighters of all time, and definitely had the greatest UFC title run in UFC history with what he did for the middleweight division years ago. But those are my top 5 UFC title reigns in UFC history. That is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, signing off, and I'll see you guys on next week's episode.